Demons, one of the most prolific kinds of monsters in fantasy. Beings of pure evil, bent on the corruption of souls, the despoiling of all that is natural, and the destruction of life. In the postmodern era in which we live, many classically evil creatures are being reinterpreted in more diverse ways. Orcs, maybe not all evil. Dark elves, maybe not all evil. Mind flayers? Well, okay, let's not push it. But one type of creature that we can all agree on as being absolutely evil is the demon. It is literally an embodiment of evil. Or is it? What is a demon? Well, brace yourselves, because this video is going to be a deep one. And before we delve in too far, please take a quick second to give this video a like. And if you're not subscribed yet, make sure to do so. A ton of research and study went into this video, and I still feel underprepared, but your support lets me know that I don't have to be perfect in my explorations. I just have to be willing to venture into the cave in hopes of illuminating the darkness. So, here goes. In popular media, a demon seems to be a kind of ugly, scary monster that looks like a kind of nightmarish animal, or maybe a person with some animalistic features. The most generic demon appearance out there is this. It resembles a person with some kind of reddish skin color, horns like a goat or ram, fangs and claws like a predator beast, and maybe wings like a bat. Its eyes are usually glowing with a sinister light, and it always has a terrible, menacing expression, as though full of sadism and bloodlust. Not only does the demon look like the most vile, malevolent, vicious creature ever, but it is also a native to an evil plane of existence, such as hell or the abyss or some other dark nether realm. Sometimes, demons are bound inside of some sealed vault or magical container. In other words, it's not a natural creature of the world. It's not an animal or a person in the normal sense. It's more like a corrupted mockery of something natural, a mockery of the physical and metaphysical aspects of normal life forms. There are certain games, books, movies that go deeper into demons. They feature far more than just that generic demon. In fact, the varieties of demon appearances is nearly infinite. It could be a kind of giant worm, or an invisible spirit that possesses a person, or a huge behemoth wielding flaming weapons, and on and on and on. Since a demon is this corrupted mockery of anything that's natural, there is thus this massive variety of different demon forms, kind of like what we see with undead. The origin of the demon is a very broad topic. Just like the dragon and the ghost, it is an incredibly ancient concept that appears in most cultures around the world since who knows how long. You might be surprised to learn that there are some key differences between how demons are conceptualized in modern media versus what they are in Christian lore. I want to stress that the concept of what a demon is varies to some degree between various mythos. I began reading about demons through the lenses of Judaism, Islam, the Rakshasas of Hinduism, the yokai of Japanese Shinto, and others, and I quickly realized that this kind of research would lead me down 100 different rabbit holes, and writing the script would take months and the video would be 3 hours long. You could really dedicate an entire career to studying the different fields of lore and theology regarding demons and other kinds of supernatural monsters. So, for the sake of not going overboard, and you can easily go overboard when it comes to demons, I'm going to compare demons in Dungeons & Dragons with demons in Christianity. D&D is the first and biggest role-playing game, a cultural force by this point, and all RPGs flow from it. Christianity is the biggest religion in the world, and the foundational metaphysics of Western civilization. In D&D, demons are portrayed as chaotic and evil beings native to the Abyss, a plane of existence comprised of infinite layers full of torment, suffering, violence, ugliness, and entropy. Demons possess a variety of different powers and abilities. Some can cast spells, some have mind control, some have the ability to summon other demons, and along with this, most of them have brutal attacks in direct combat and a slew of different kinds of resistances that are difficult for low-level characters to overcome. Demons in D&D seek to spread chaos, destruction, and corruption wherever they go. And they are at odds with basically everything, but they're especially at odds with the lawful evil aligned devils and with the good aligned supernatural beings like angels. And if you're surprised about me mentioning devils in that bit there, in D&D there is a distinction between demons and devils. Demons are beings of chaos who want to destroy all of existence. Devils are beings of law who want to enslave all souls and become the tyrants of existence. Where demons and devils originated has changed throughout the different editions of D&D, but the largest and most compelling volumes on the topic are 3rd edition's Fiendish Codexes 1 and 2. Volume 1 is entitled Hordes of the Abyss, and it's about demons, while Volume 2 is called Tyrants of the Nine Hells, and is about devils. Described here, demons spontaneously arise out of the abyss. The plane itself is a manifestation of the cosmic forces of chaos and evil, and from its essence, demons just congeal and spawn. The abyss itself spews forth endless hordes of them. Devils, on the other hand, began as angels. They were angels tasked with fighting the demons in order to stop them from destroying all the cosmos, particularly the material plane, where dwelled the gods' most beloved creations, the mortal races. After fighting with the demons for so long, these angels became corrupt and fiendish themselves, devils. They began tempting and manipulating mortals such that when a person died, their soul descended to the devils as a kind of punishment. And then the devils could utilize one of these souls, either as a sort of magical component, or to transform into another devil, another infernal soldier in the endless blood war against the demons. The devil's leader, Asmodeus, was eventually put on trial, in which the Celestials testified of his many heinous crimes and how he and his angels turned devils were corrupting the mortal races. But Asmodeus testified that he had broken no explicit law, and in fact, his forces were serving all the cosmos by preventing the demons from spilling over and infesting and destroying everything. The story has a lot more to it than just this bit, but it serves well enough to distinguish the demon-devil dichotomy in Dungeons & Dragons. It's an interesting chunk of lore, for certain, but what I'm most interested in is the underlying principle. Evil itself is its own force, independent of any good-aligned god, no matter how powerful. To put this concept another way, the forces of good and evil, law and chaos, are the ultimate superordinate principles of the D&D cosmology. These constants define everything. The many planes of existence, and even the gods, are defined by them. The gods in D&D are more like the gods from ancient mythology, like the Greek or Norse or Egyptian gods. They are just beings, extremely, extremely powerful beings, but still beings nonetheless. Zeus or Odin or Osiris was just like this super powerful guy, this giant space wizard. D&D gods are a lot like this. They're distant, abstract. They're each like a mascot of certain domains or elements. A god of storms, a god of war, a god of forests, a god of trickery, etc. Let's shift gears to Christian lore now. There are a number of seeming similarities between its theology and the D&D lore. After all, many aspects of D&D are inspired by the Bible and Dante's Divine Comedy and Tolkien, whose Christian faith shaped his work. But when we actually dig in, we find that the religion has some major differences between D&D. In Christianity, demons are fallen angels who followed Satan and rebelled against God. Satan's greatest character flaw is his pride. This is illustrated from the very beginning of the biblical narrative, in which the original sin of Adam and Eve occurred when the serpent tempted them to eat the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. "You will surely not die," the serpent said to the woman, "for God knows that when you eat of it, your eyes will be opened, and you will be like God, knowing good and evil." Satan's primary sin is pride, or arrogance, we might say. This is based on accounts in the Bible of Satan's fall from grace, as described in the Old Testament book of Isaiah and the New Testament book of Revelation. According to these accounts, Satan, who was originally an angel named Lucifer, rebelled against God because he was filled with pride and wanted to be like God, seeking to exalt his throne above God's throne. This prideful rebellion resulted in his fall from grace and banishment from heaven, becoming the embodiment of evil known as Satan, or the devil. As a quick side note here, the terms demon and devil are largely interchangeable in Christianity, though some do reserve the term devil exclusively for Satan, who is the leader of the demons, aka fallen angels. In Christian tradition, pride is often considered the deadliest of the 7 deadly sins, and Satan's fall illustrates the dangers of pride and the importance of humility. As the embodiment of evil, Satan is often depicted as the tempter, the deceiver, and the adversary of God and humanity, seeking to lead people astray and away from the path of righteousness. So demons here are thus evil spirits. They possess or torment individuals, and they can influence people's behavior. They can be cast out through exorcism, and the ultimate fate of demons is eternal damnation in hell. In a way, the devils of D&D are the ones that are like the demons of Christianity. Well, demons/devils. They are the fallen angels. But in D&D, a person can turn into a devil in hell. This is not true in Christian belief. Angels and demons are spirits. They're a different kind of being altogether. It's not something that a human becomes. A human can be influenced by an angel or by a devil. A human can possess traits or behaviors that we might call angelic or demonic, but he or she will not transform into a non-human. Another key difference between Christianity and Dungeons & Dragons is the idea of what evil is. In D&D, good and evil are both independent cosmic forces. It seems like good tends to win more than evil does, especially if we consider that the player characters tend to succeed more often than they fail, and they tend to fight for good or at least against evil. But it's not clear that on the grand scale of things that good is absolutely more powerful than evil. In many ways, it seems like that in D&D, good and evil hold each other in check. They create this kind of balance through their struggles. In Christian belief, this is different. Evil does not exist as this independent force that's total on its own, that has some kind of power outside of God. Evil is either a failure to do what is right or an outright rebellion against what is right. Evil is a lack of good or a corruption of something good. It's not an exclusive essence of its own. For example, it's right to tell the truth. If you alter the truth, you alter the details of something that you say in order to gain something that you want or to escape your due punishment, then that is a sin. In other words, an act of evil. Or if you create a false narrative in order to destroy somebody's character or to get them blamed for something that they did not do, that is evil. So it's a choice that you make to go against what is natural and what is good, which is God's will. God is the source of all creation. He is creation itself, the ever-creating power. There is not some evil abyss that births out hordes of demons all on its own accord. This brings us then to the classic philosophical question, the problem of evil. How can evil exist if there is an all-powerful, all-loving God? Well, in a way, I've basically already answered this question by what I've laid out, but it's really worth summarizing and digging into some more. In Dungeons & Dragons, evil exists because it is one of the four alignments. It's one of the four great cosmic forces that make up existence. It is probably just as strong as good, and it's in this constant struggle with good. This answers the problem of evil. It's a simple and easy answer to grasp, actually. In Christian theology, things are a bit more complex. Since God is ultimate, evil can only exist if he allows it to. But why would he, if he is perfectly loving, if he is love itself? Hold on to your seats, boys and girls. Your old pal Esper is going to try to articulate this very complicated subject in a concise way. Unlike the gods of D&D or the gods of ancient mythology, the Christian God is not a being. He is being. He does not merely exist. He is existence. From the farthest fathoms of the universe to the most personal, intimate part of your heart, there he is. From the natural laws and constants of matter and space and time to the goals and dreams and struggles of your very self, there he is. He's not an entity or a creature. In D&D terms, we could say he's not inside the game. He has no stat block. He is the game. And he is your personal motivation that drives you to tell stories and go on adventures. But where would the adventures be if there were no conflict, no imperfections, no evil? What kind of dungeon master would present to you no combat encounters, no skill challenges, no adventures to go on, no dungeons to delve into, no experience to gain, no wondrous items to discover, no leveling up, and no story to tell? You might be tempted to ask then, so God is just running us through his game on hardcore mode for his own enjoyment? But again, you have to remember that from the Christian perspective, God is not some guy out there. He is the game. He is the adventure. He is the future potential of your leveled up character. And as much as you might lament your character's tragedies and suffering, if you rebel against the game and throw the dice away and throw the game in the trash and reject the game master, then you don't have a game anymore. Actually, it's worse than that. You find yourself in a worse state of suffering because we all want to play the game. We want adventure, and we want the spark that comes from striving towards something meaningful, something greater, some kind of deeper relationship. The same holds true in Christian teachings. If you love and follow God, despite the evil and imperfections of this world, you and everything you touch turns out better. This idea is embodied in the figure of Christ, who suffers the worst evils possible, even though he is sinless, or maybe because he is sinless. He helps so many, but is treated so horrifically in the end. And instead of rebelling against it all, or seeking vengeance, he makes of himself a sacrifice and chooses to love humanity despite us condemning, humiliating, torturing, and murdering him. And in his ultimate sacrifice, he saves and redeems the world. So the Christian answer to the problem of evil goes something like this. Evil exists because people choose to sin. Evil, along with natural tragedies like disasters and diseases, exists because God gives freedom to the universe. He is not a puppeteer. It is thus not a matter of God preventing bad things from ever happening. It is a matter of us offering him right praise in spite of the suffering we endure. And even though you might have reasons to be resentful of this arrangement, if you treat it as good and orient yourself toward loving God and loving others, things get better overall. Whew. This might be the heaviest topic I have ever explored in my life. It's been fascinating to learn about and really moving on a personal level. Explorations like this always inspire me to be a better storyteller and to dig even deeper into the topics that I love. I love things like religion and philosophy, history, culture, mythology, things like adventures and monsters. In fact, as far back as I can remember, I've always loved monsters. There's some kind of natural instinct I have that draws me toward them. It's part artistic, it's part psychological, and it's part mythical, like I'm participating in some ancient tradition of bards and scholars and adventurers. This very instinct has inspired me to create a new 5th edition book called Monstrous Heroes, which is a book all about playing monsters. These serve as both your character class and your race/species. Things like Minotaur, Vampire, Ogre, and Dragon. This gives you a chance to really explore the more monstrous side of D&D while still using the same character structure that we're familiar with. It delivers the feeling of playing something that is mighty and mythic. Creating this book is a huge undertaking, and it involves designing 14 new classes, along with backgrounds, spells, and GM guidance for implementing it, as well as all the gorgeous and fierce illustrations. I'm going for an aesthetic that balances old school with new school. I'm about to launch a Kickstarter to crowdfund Monstrous Heroes, so my brave companions, your bardic friend is calling upon you. Let's unleash these monsters and see what treasure we can uncover from the dark cavern. Check out the link down in the video description and follow the Kickstarter. Even if you're not sure if you'll end up getting the book or not, hitting this notify me button helps my page's viewability and it shows me a bit of support, which I greatly appreciate. More news on this to come soon. So thank you all very much for watching, and if you fall prey to demonic corruption, may you find your way back to the light. And as always, may your adventures be many.